Hey Fit Fam, it is Coach Rye from Team Flex. Today we're going to dive into figure criteria, figure review of a recent pro competition that just happened, O Dynasty. Okay, we're going to talk about our top 3 competitors, why the placings landed the way they did, and what it means for you as a competitor out there if you want to compete in the figure division. Okay, we look at the pros, we talk about what's going on with that criteria so you know where that goes all the way down to even if it's your first competition, criteria remains the same, and you got to know the basics of the figure division if you want to be competing at your best no matter your level. All right, so stay tuned with me and we're going to dive in. Okay, so first things first, here's who we got on the list here. We got Wendy Fortino taking the win, Maggie taking second, and Sandy, they're going to go ahead and take into the actual third place spot there. So that's going to line up just like this. So we got Wendy here, we got Maggie right here, and then we have our third place Sandy on this side. Okay, so right out the gate, what you can see is there's a wide variety in these physiques. Okay, you look at Wendy, for example, right? She's got definitely this kind of iconic V-taper shape. That's what figure is all about. You got to have this. It's all about those kind of, bolder shoulders, really developed deltoids that taper into the narrow waist, and each athlete does have that. Maggie's got a very big V-taper. She's got a little bit of a different size to her upper body that's pulling in that, but each and every single one of these athletes, Sandy here as well, all showing the V-taper, and that's really what figure division is all about. It's about getting this taper look that fits this criteria, that showcases the muscle without being too overdone, right? So these are very developed, very conditioned in, so to speak, physiques, but not to the degree that we'd see in women's physique, women's bodybuilding, all right? But definitely more conditioning and more muscle than something we would see in like wellness or bikini, for example, okay? So our figure pro division here, very, very emphasized on that V-taper. And, a lot of people are looking at Wendy here and thinking, okay, this is interesting, right? Because Maggie definitely looks like she has a much bigger figure look. But, this is, again, what happens with figure division. It can easily get pushed too far since these divisions are more muscular. You can start to bring size to them. They could put you actually in a class up. It could make you look like you should be in, women's physique or something like that, even women's bodybuilding. So definitely looking at Wendy here. We're getting the full deltoid story. This is really good. Biceps and triceps that match. These lats that are flaring, causing this taper. Tight waist. This is all good. And into the lower body too, everything matches. So figure has to match. Up, down, left, right. We got to see these muscles in the lower body actually match the muscles in the upper body. So you don't want to have one dominant group over another like in some divisions like wellness. We don't want to see that in figure. In figure, you want to be symmetrical and you want to be able to see, these lines and these cuts into these muscle groups, not deep to the point where they're so deep that you're getting grainy striations and things, but you do want to have those separations in figure, okay? So Wendy really nails that from the front pose, and she does have a little bit of a smaller structure to her physique, which I think actually gave her the advantage over Maggie, for example. So if we look at Maggie, Maggie's got a very dramatic V-taper, very big shoulders, very big arms. All this is great. Huge lat flare and a very tiny waist, okay? So really good figure look. Lower body does match too, but her quads look a little bit overpowering here in my opinion. I think her quads, they have a little bit too much girth to them, in other words, which is causing her physique symmetry to look off. And overall, really, I think she's pushing the size limit of what the figure division is looking for, okay? So again, still top placing physique here at this competition. She's still taking second, but I think that, Wendy looking a little bit smaller, a little bit more structured into that frame is an example from judges saying, okay, we do want to see though, you still fit within the criteria, where Maggie looks like she's got a lot more muscle, could have pushed her out a little bit in that sense, I think, okay? And same thing over here with Sandy. Sandy's just a little bit disproportionate in my opinion. She's got, the classic markers of figure still, shoulders, everything here, but her shoulders very much take the show when we're looking at shoulders. Like, just looking at this front pose, you see that and you're like, okay, and the legs, they just don't seem like they're at the same caliber conditioning wise. All these athletes are very comparable, very on point. with their conditioning. The main differences we see as we tier out in this top 3 is going to be the size changes, okay? So I think that, you know, Wendy really brought a nice physique for this that really structures it. Now we got to look at the back though, okay? This is where we get to see more of the story, get a lot more of that information there. So again, everything in figure is about this V-tapered look. So really important that you have that. Those delts got to be full. They got to be popping out. You got to have those lats flaring and tapering into your waist. You need to have these things if you want to be a figure competitor. You also want to have a certain level of depth to your back. So, you know, in some of our other criteria reviews, when we're looking at bikini and wellness, hairs down, we're not looking at the back. Figure division, you are. So you want to see not only that width to the back, you need to see that depth too. And that's what we're going to see in these shots. So Wendy's got that to a large degree. You know, like we're seeing rear delt depth, we're seeing, you know, the overall fullness here. We're getting into the lats, you know, all of this is really nice to show the depth of her back, which is really an indicator of to judges, by the way, that this athlete has a good amount of muscle development in their back. Like the deeper the muscles look, it means the more muscle you got. So that's a really good thing for figure division. Now lower body moving down again, I think she's very symmetrical. You know, it's all coming together. You're seeing that slight separation, glute ham tie. This is important. You're seeing separation in the hamstrings. You're seeing all this, and you know, nothing here is overpowering. The lower body is not overpowering the upper. The upper body does look obviously more in depth in the musculature and leaner, but it should in this division compared to the lower body. So again, shape is all there, symmetry is all there. That's a good thing. Looking over at Maggie, you know, Maggie's got a lot of size, but her back pose looks a lot different than her front pose does, in my opinion, right? From the front, she looks very dominant, very muscular. From the back, we're losing a lot of that, I think, okay? Like we get a large wingspan, but it doesn't really taper down into her waist all that well. So maybe lengthening her lats out a little bit more would enhance that look and help her. And then I think her lower body looks a little bit disproportionately smaller from this back angle. So her quads looked big in the front, which was kind of throwing off her physique there. And from the back, you know, they're still very dominant. You can still see them here. We're not getting that same effect though with the glutes and the hamstrings. So it looks a little bit asymmetrical to me, right? Like it looks like her upper body is clearly more dominant, which is not necessarily good in figure division because you want to have that balance and that structure. And then same thing looking over here at Sandy, you know, she's got a lot of good depth to the muscle, but very lean looking. It's just not as developed. So again, her deltoids were taking that front shot, and from the back, you can see that their deltoids were kind of disproportionately larger because this back just doesn't have that depth of muscle. It's not as big of a V-taper. She's very lean, and that's why you're seeing all these cuts here, but it's not necessarily very depth as far as muscular density goes. So that's a huge factor. So Wendy really does bring it all together. She kind of takes the cake here, bringing this point scoring, you know, to Olympia qualification. So great job to all these ladies. Great physiques on board. This is awesome. If you are a figure competitor, remember, you want to focus on getting that V-taper and making sure that you got that symmetry up, down, left, right. If you want to learn how to train like a figure competitor and try our coaching for free, come over to my website, teamfflex.com. I don't talk about this enough, but we have a free trial. So you can actually try our coaching for free. We can show you what it's like to train like a figure competitor, doing splits like that and everything else that you would need to kind of attain that look. Otherwise, I want to know what you guys think here. Go into the comments and tell me, do you agree with the winners here? Do you think Wendy should have taken that? Do you think maybe Maggie should have actually won that? Let me know what you think. I always love to do this, you know, as a communication factor, to talk with you guys about the sport and expand on it. That's what we do. That's why I make these videos. And if you're new here, please make sure you subscribe because we got a lot more coming. Thank you for watching. Coach Rye is out.